Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Yahweh is the true, holy, and powerful name of the Heavenly Father. Bahasham meaning in the name. Yahweh Shai is the true, holy, and powerful name of His only begotten Son, who is the Savior of the nation of Israel, starting off with the elect within the nation of Israel. And Israel consists of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as well as you Israelite foreigners scattered abroad that may look like the nations where you've been scattered to, but are Israelites. And I also want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing out this word in all sincerity and in truth. All right, this is the brother you call from the GMS branch out in Des Moines, Iowa, coming back at you with another lesson inspired by the Holy Spirit. Harakakwadash. And what I want to get into briefly in this lesson is following directions as precisely as possible. All right, following directions as precisely as possible. All right, because we're coming into times to where not following directions, completely, or whatever the case it may be, can be detrimental to our lives. All right, especially in these evil days, so it's going to be very important, to make sure that we understand directions completely when they're given, that if there's things that we don't understand about directions that are given, ask instead of moving presumptuously or, in uncertainty or whatever the case it may be. All right, and I just want to touch up on this real quick, and Lord's will is edifying. This is the book of Luke, chapter 8 and verse 18. It says, "Take heed, therefore, how ye hear." And, you'll hear Apostle Gabar mention it from time to time, about how listening is an art. All right. Listening is an art, just paying attention to detail, especially when instructions are given. The Spirit's been having us, we have our different challenges or precepts of the day or different things that we'll have in our group me. And there's times where, instructions are given, and sometimes, part of the instructions are completed, but the other part isn't, and then so that means that, you didn't do what was asked to do. All right, just to be plain, and it could be looked at as rebellion and disobedience, as we're gonna, grabbing an example with King Saul, who didn't follow instructions. And the excuses that we have for not following instructions, I thought this and I thought that, or I thought that you meant this and whatnot, or or whether it's emotions that get in the way for why we don't follow instructions at certain times, or whatever the case it may be. All right, those things are becoming less and less tolerated, all right, as we see in the Spirit. And we want to make sure that, we're being as on point as possible, and making sure that we understand the task at hand, duties that we're supposed to be doing, and so on and so forth, man. All right, because we don't want to find ourselves in a position to where the Lord is going to bring down judgment upon us for not following directions, all right, because of whether it's our feelings or because of even misunderstanding when the opportunity to get full understanding was given. All right, if there's something that we don't get or don't understand, then ask, all right, and be sure, before making certain moves, right? So this is I just want to finish the verse out. But Luke 8 and 18, it says, "Take heed, therefore, how ye hear. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken even that which he seemeth to have." Right. So we have to, pay attention, pay attention to detail, listening. Once again, it's a art. The saying in the world is what? You have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're being very careful in how we're listening, man. All right. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 5. All right. Sirach, chapter 5. And verse 10, it says, "Be steadfast in thy understanding, and let thy word be the same." All right, so this word steadfast, when you look up in an etymon online, it pretty much means be secure in position or firm in one's mind, right? So when instructions are given, we want to make sure that we're firm in our mind on what those instructions are, or be secure in that, all right, and then go forward and execute, okay? But if we aren't sure about certain things, okay, when the instructions are given, if the instructions are given, all right, the person, that's given the instructions or whatever the case it may be, all right, won't know if you don't understand, if you don't say anything. There's going to be an expectation of, okay, you understand the task at hand. All right, so there should be no reason why you can't execute it. All right. It ain't, where you start asking questions later. Then, well, I thought this and I thought that, or wait, did you mean this and did you mean that? Nah, you get that understanding and then you go and execute, right? It's the next verse. It says, it says verse 10 again, be steadfast in thy understanding and let thy word be the same. Be swift to hear and let thy life be sincere and with patience give answer. All right. So we listen, we receive the instructions, make sure that we understand those things. All right. And then we give answer. All right. And the answer can be whether it's through words, whether it's through our actions. All right. It says, if thou hast understanding, answer thy neighbor. If not, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. And just applying this in the spirit, once again, to taking heed to instructions. All right. So if you understand it, all right, go and execute it. OK. But if not, make sure you get the understanding. All right. Before you make moves. OK. Because we can, think that, OK, well, now I thought you meant this. And then you make a move and it's like, wait, why did you do that? All right. Or you end up doing something that's actually, you can end up rebelling or without even realizing it or thinking that you're doing the right thing or whatever the case it may be. When once again, it was just something as simple as asking or inquiring a little bit more or just to be sure. So then you can execute that task, whatever it may be, as precisely as possible. Right now, I want to grab this in the book of Deuteronomy, the 17th chapter. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse 8. It says, if there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within thy gates, then shalt thou arise and get thee up into the place which the Lord Yahweh thy power shall choose. And thou shalt come unto the priests, the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. It says, and thou shalt do according to the sentence which they of that place which the Lord Yahweh shall choose shall show thee, and thou shalt observe to do according to all that they inform thee, right? So there's a matter that comes up, they present it to the various Levites and the priest or the judge, right? And then the judge is going to give out a sentence or on what needs to be executed, right? Now in verse 10 in the NLT, it says, you must carry out the verdict they announce in the sentence they prescribe at the place the Lord chooses. You must do exactly what they say. All right. So we want to make sure that we're doing exactly according to the instructions, or whether it's a sentence of judgment or whatever the case may be, exactly as what's been said. All right. I'm going to read the next verse in the NLT as well. After they have interpreted the law and declared their verdict, the sentence they impose must be fully executed. Do not modify it in any way, right? So we want full execution of the instructions given, okay? There's times where instructions are given where it has multiple things that need to be accomplished, all right? And halfway doing part of it but fully doing another half, that's not following instructions, all right, fully, okay? And you can feel good, like, all right, I did this and I did that, but it's like you didn't complete this other part of the task. So the instructions weren't, fully completed. All right. So these are things that we want to make sure that we keep in mind. All right. And as we're going to grab, this is what happened even with Saul, right? He didn't fully, follow instructions, and therefore he didn't follow instructions. All right. Following part of instructions is not following instructions. So, this is really a lesson for myself. And, I thought it'd be edifying for other brothers as well. But really, paying attention to these various details, man. 1 Samuel 15:1. Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now, therefore, hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way and when he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass, right? So these are very clear instructions, okay? All right, so reading those again. It says, verse 3, now go and smite Amalek, utterly destroy all that they have. All right, so don't leave nothing, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. So all their, flocks and all that, destroy it all, right? So let's jump down. Now, when you read through, you see exactly what he did, right? But I want to jump down to verse 10, and then we'll read through from that point. It says, actually, man, I don't know. I'm gonna just start at verse 7. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive. All right. First mistake, because the Lord says, smite all that they have, leave nothing. All right. Don't spare nobody. So nobody should be alive. And utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. All right. But it says he kept Agag alive, which that was disobedience there. But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and of the oxen and of the fatlings and the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them. But everything that was vile and refused, they destroyed utterly. Verse 10, then came the word of the Lord Yahweh unto Samuel, saying, it repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he is turned back from following me, and doth not perform my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto the Lord Yahweh all night. And when Samuel rose early to meet Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel, saying, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set him up a place, and is gone about, and passed on, and gone down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, blessed be thou of the Lord Yahweh, I perform the commandment of the Lord. So this dude is delusional. All right. He's feeling good that, he done won the battle, because he won the battle. All right. He smote him. He came back with spoils. So, he feeling good. Right. And then he's like, oh, blessed be the Lord Yahweh, I perform the commandment. Right. Well, let's keep reading. It says, and Samuel said, what meaneth then this bleating of the sheep in mine ears? Because didn't the Lord give clear instructions on destroying all their cattle, right? And the lowing of the oxen, which I hear. And Saul said, they have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and of the oxen to sacrifice unto the Lord Yahweh thy power. So, he's saying it like, look, these people, hey, they brought these sheep. They're going to sacrifice it to the Lord. All right. So even if they actually had good intentions, like, oh man, look at all this sheep, let's go, give it to the Lord, let's give sacrifice as a thanks, to the Lord Yahweh for winning this battle. All right. To overcome them. Right. We destroyed our enemies. Right. So even if they had good intent, they didn't do what the Lord said for them to do. Right. It says, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. Verse 16, it says, then Samuel said unto Saul, stay, and I will tell thee what the Lord Yahweh has said to me this night. And he said unto him, say on. And Samuel said, when thou was little in thine own sight, was thou not made the head of the tribes of Israel? And the Lord Yahweh anointed thee king over Israel. And the Lord Yahweh sent thee on a journey and said, go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed. Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord Yahweh, but didst fly upon the spoil and didst evil in the sight of the Lord? So he's like, why didn't you follow the instructions? Do exactly what the Lord commanded, right? And Saul said unto Samuel, yea, I've obeyed the voice of the Lord. So he's still talking about, I did what the Lord said, right? Bugged out, okay? And I've gone the way which the Lord Yahweh sent me, and I've brought Agag, the king of Amalekite, and I've utterly destroyed the Amalekites. So he went where the Lord told him to go. All right. So in a sense, he applied that. Okay. He did go to war with the Amalekites, and he destroyed a lot of the people, but he left a lot of the people. So in his mind, well, I did destroy the people, but he left Agag alive. All right. I destroyed some of the flock. All right. Yeah. All the bad of the flock, but then he brought some back. But in his mind, he's like, I obeyed. Right. So we got to be very careful of that. Follow instructions as they are given unto us to the best of our ability. And once again, if there's something that we don't understand, let's get that understanding. Let's ask, let's inquire. Hey, brother, did you mean to do this way? Or because I'm not quite sure, then get the surety of it. All right. It says, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. Oh, verse 21. But the people took the spoil, sheep and oxen, the chief of the things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto the Lord Yahweh thy power in Gilgal. Right. So he's pretty much blaming it on the people. Well, they was pressing me about these sheep and everything like that. But he was in a position to where he knew what the Lord told him, and he was supposed to command him like, no, I don't care if you niggas want these sheep. I don't care if you want these oxen. The Lord said, put them all to death, so they're getting put all to death. All right, so the influence of the people shouldn't have influenced him, all right, to allow them to do that, all right, because he knew what the Lord had told him, man, through Samuel, right? So this was rebellion. And Samuel said, hath the Lord Yahweh as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry, right? So the Lord was like, look, you ain't following the directions, all right? He's like, you stubborn, okay? You rebellious, right? It says, because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord Yahweh, he hath also rejected thee from being king. So, this is a very fearful thing that we're a part of, man. So we want to make sure that we aren't just, we hear certain, make sure we're paying attention to what's being said, what is being asked, all right? What's being instructed? What assignment am I being given to do, and it starts off with the little things, man. Hey, brothers be like, all right, this is the time we need to, be at camp, everybody, by this time, all right? And then it's like, oh, well, I went to go do this and I went to go do that. So then you're outside of that time frame. And it's like, look, that's rebellion. All right. Especially if now things happen through the spirit. It's one thing if things happening through the spirit. And it's another thing of being neglectful of taking heed to the instructions that are being given. All right. You had the opportunity to go grab this and go do that way earlier. But, you allowed yourself to be, not on time. All right. Because of a neglect of those things or not taking it seriously. Whatever the case it may be, the point being is just taking these instructions seriously, all right, and applying it, because once again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the lesson, we're coming into a time where these things are being less and less tolerated by Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, and we don't want to find ourselves in the position of having these bad habits of not fully following directions, all right, or making these assumptions in our mind and then not following directions because of that, or whatever the case it may be. We should be, having good habits of, this is what was said. Executed exactly what was said, and I'm consistently doing that, working on these things right now before it's very detrimental unto us, man. And even an example, I'm thinking even with Moses. All right. There was an account the first time the Lord told Moses to smite the rock. So then the waters would gush out of it when we were in the wilderness to feed all of our flock and camels and the people and the children and everybody. Right. But then there was another account where the Lord told Moses not to smite the rock, but he told him to speak to the rock. And Moses being angry at Jake being rebellious and talking trash and everything like that, in his anger, all right, in his anger, he was like, look, man, shall I, make water come out of this rock to you again? And then he smote the rock. All right, and the water gushed out, so everybody was fed and everything like that. But then the Lord got angry at Moses because he didn't follow directions. All right. He was like, look, I told you clearly to speak to the rock, but you smote it. So therefore, I'm not going to allow you to go into the land of Israel. All right. I'm going to allow you to see it, but I'm not going to allow you to enter into it. So the Lord was angry at that. And Moses was justified in his anger against Jake, but he wasn't justified in his disobedience. All right. So we have to be mindful of that, man. We don't want to end up being disobedient, whether it's because of our emotions, whether it's because we don't fully understand something, or whatever the case it may be. We want to be as obedient as possible, man. Okay? Executing what the Lord has commanded us to do through the Spirit, whether it's instructions through his men and so on and so forth, or whatever the case it may be. All right? Because we're coming into a time where not doing these things, the Lord is going to be sending down judgment and showing the consequences of not taking heed unto it, man. All right? Very serious times that we're in, man. So let me go ahead and finish it off with this in the book of Sirach, the 51st chapter. All right, Sirach chapter 51 and verse, and there's times where, hey, there's times, throughout the years, I'm sure brothers can give it a test, can attest to it, to where we didn't follow instructions exactly. And, judgment didn't come down, and the Lord could have brought judgment down. But, we're learning these different things right now. So if we've been in the habit of not fully following directions, or, not really taking heed or not taking these things seriously, man, we want to make sure that we're breaking out of it. The instructions that are being given from brothers, hey, it could be something as simple as a brother be like, hey, can you go to the store and grab me X, Y, and Z? All right. And then you go to the store and grab X and Y, but you don't grab Z, and that's not following the instructions. It's something that's small, right? But it says he that considereth small things shall fall little by little. All right, the brother, he'd be like, oh, no, it ain't no big deal, man. You know, hey, it happens, you know. He might not care. But us in our mind, if we're on the other end, we should be like, damn, man, how did I not follow instructions? How did I forget that? You know, I should have double checked or whatever, you know, being on us. So then when it comes down to bigger things, we're already creating a habit of making sure that we're being as precise as possible. Sirach chapter 51 and verse 18. For I purpose to do after her, being wisdom, earnestly I followed that which is good, so shall I not be confounded. My soul hath wrestled with her, and in my doings I was exact. Right? So we want to be exact in our doings, right? And that word exact, when you look it up in the Edamon online, it says precise, rigorous, accurate. All right. King Saul was not exact, all right, in executing, you know, what the Lord told him to do and being obedient to what the Lord said. All right. He wasn't precise. He wasn't accurate, you know. So we want to make sure that we're being exact, all right, in our doings and applying this wisdom overall. All right. And even to the instructions that are being given through the Spirit, starting off with our elders and apostles and everything like that. Like even in that, you know, certain orders that come down, you know, from the apostles and different things like that. And the Spirit, you know, to have it to where certain times, certain things are seasonal, you know. But even in that, you know, we should have a conscious mind of like, nah, this is what's coming down through the Spirit. This is what's being expected right now in the Spirit. And this is how I need to move. All right. Until the Spirit shifts otherwise for whatever, you know. But applying these different things and not taking them lightly, not taking these things for granted or, you know, whatever, right? So it says, my soul has wrestled with her, and in my doings I was exact. I stretched forth my hands to the heaven above and bewailed my ignorances of her, right? So I just wanted to get that point. In my doings I was exact. So, you know, being as precise, as accurate as possible and following directions, man. So having that being said, Lord's what I was edifying, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing out this word in all sincerity and in truth. With that, I'm going to say shalom.